A member of the House of Representatives representing Kaduna North's federal constituency, Bello El-Rufai, has publicly apologized to former President Goodluck Jonathan for his past criticism of his administration, acknowledging that his previous views were shaped by youthful inexperience. El-Rufai's son, the former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, made the apology during an appearance on TV. He said he had come to a new understanding of Jonathan's leadership after observing his father's recent efforts to consult with the former president.
I visited my father after I became a member, and I saw him wearing a polo shirt. And I said, "Where are you going?" I just came to GCV. I said he's going to see President Jonathan. And I paused, because when I was naive, or when I thought ego or gratification mattered, I used to be very active in criticizing President Jonathan. I even forgot in my naivety, as many young people, that we had governors then. And I then find my father saying he's going to go and consult with President Jonathan. So I looked at him and I said, "Please, when you see him, tell him I'm very sorry. I'm wiser now. The system is a problem." Now, why did I mention President Jonathan? It takes a lot, particularly in Africa, to lose an election and leave. He did that. Governor Fayemi and them were there. So I think electoral reforms have improved, but there have been conversations about the last election. I don't speak when I don't have the data to do that. I've said it before in your channel, shown that I thought if the opposition are united, we, APC, would have been in trouble when you look at the numbers. So, but there is something we've been hearing in the rumors, for example, and that there might be an amendment to the Electoral Act where people can vote without that. Well, let me state that clear. If that is true, with my two fathers here, I will not be that member that votes for it. We should elevate electoral reforms, whether it's transmission of results and things like that. I think if politicians feel we can write results, it'll be fine. Dr. Fayemi won an election in a state that had solid men. He lost, and then he came back and won.
It is shocking that Bello El-Rufai is Bello El-Rufai is out apologizing to Goodluck Jonathan. I'll tell you the reasons why they are out apologizing. Before now, we've had the younger brother come out to say that Peter Obi is not actually a bad leader, that he was deceived by APC urchins. Now, this is what they are trying to play. They've seen that some of those people whom they abused, the obedient family, remember how El-Rufai, why he was governor, went all out just before the 2023 elections. They were all out screaming, saying all sorts of things. Ethnicity, bigotry was elevated to the highest before the 2020, even after the 2023 elections. For the first time in a long while, we saw people rioting in Lagos, Yoruba and Igbos, because of our leaders. For the first time in a long while, we saw Hausa fighting with Fulanis in Kano because of elections. It was deeply divided. And these are the things that politicians want. As long as it is not going their way, they stoke trouble. Either they use ethnicity, they use bile, they use bigotry, and that is the reason why we must look out for these people. Now, let me tell you, I'll give you two reasons why I think we shouldn't be listening to Bello El-Rufai at this time, because it is now clear to them that the person that they helped come to power isn't playing their own card. And if he's not playing their own card, they're in trouble. This guy is not supporting you. You are not going to support him come 2027. So what is the alternative? They're out now blazing gun. Even if it means lying down, they will do it. When they grab the power, then they show you who they really are. So let nobody be deceived by Bello El-Rufai's antics, apologizing. So even your father knows how important Goodluck Jonathan was. El-Rufai sponsored an unbelievable campaign. It was fake news was elevated to the highest level before the 2015 elections happened. And El-Rufai was at the middle of championing that cause. And of course, they won the election. It was a fantastic opportunity. I don't know how they were able to gather that momentum. They used Chibok girls, got America's president Barack Obama to get on board, got so much sentiment across board, and that was how Goodluck Jonathan lost that election. And I give it to Goodluck Jonathan, even with all of those supports, Goodluck Jonathan was able to muster more than 12 million votes, because the bile was just too much. And now we're talking 10 years after. 10 years after. You remember you had to go and apologize to Goodluck Jonathan. 10 years. And it is only when your father said he was going to go and consult with Goodluck Jonathan, that was when you remember how you needed to apologize. You did not apologize. You didn't remember to apologize earlier. Because your father has now seen that, Omo, I cannot gather the support of the South. It come this 2027 if, and only if, I don't make peace with these people. Where was El-Rufai all this while he was governor? Did he, for once, pick up his phone to call Goodluck Jonathan and say, apologies for what I have done. I know what I did was... Has he even done a public apology to Goodluck Jonathan? Because all the things that he did were all public. They were all public sponsorship of vitriol against him, his family, everything. And Goodluck Jonathan, because of how cool he was, well, thank God you guys have seen that you can't do that to Asiwaju. If a certain section of the southern Nigeria don't support you, you can't do that to Asiwaju. Because, of course, on just one hand, you go parry una. And Asiwaju is not like Goodluck Jonathan, soft-hearted. Goodluck Jonathan, Asiwaju, as Goodluck Jonathan is soft, Asiwaju is not soft. That's why he's poking you people's face. So if this guy who is in power now has an El-Rufai in his cabinet, would we be seeing this apology from you? Let's be sincere. Now, this guy, Tinubu, is now showing people pepper. First term, he has not gotten second term. He knows he's going for second term, and he's showing people this pepper. So you guys are angry with him, and you want to oust him. And by ousting him, the only thing is to make peace with people who are his enemies. That's the politics you are playing. So the Southerners know this thing. Look, at this point, guys, look, I know I'm someone who is an advocate of Peter Obi, frankly speaking, true and true. But the way it is now, I don't want to. I'm not going to, knock my head if Peter Obi doesn't win. If Tinubu gets it again, fine. The way it is, because these guys have taken us for granted for so long, and it's about time to pay them back if need be. So if it's having Asiwaju for the second term would be a way to pay back the pains people have caused us, what they have hoisted on us through Buhari and poked us in the face severally. If that is what is going to make us say, okay, you know what, we have come at par. You hoisted Buhari on us, we are hoisting Tinubu on you. So let's play 50-50. Then when we come to 2031, then you will now think whether you want to repeat what Buhari did in 2015 and 2023. Because again, they get how person they live for power forever. What the measure of what you give is what you get. So don't come at us and you're apologizing. I'm 100% sure that you have not even called. You have not even called Jonathan. You just had opportunity and just mentioned it. Your father, as you are going, when you see him, tell him I apologize. You are sending your father to go and apologize on your behalf. You don't know where he is. Get out of here, Jesus.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has recounted how he survived a plane crash during a Thanksgiving service held in the church in Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State. According to reports, the aircraft he was aboard was a Bombardier Global Express 5,000 over 6,000 series jet estimated to be worth 15 billion naira. In a viral video obtained by this channel, the 57-year-old politician described the incident as a near-death experience.
Carlos, no, we are climbing 340. You need to reduce. Don't need race. So let the whoever from this airport right there, So we are adding 280, sending now flood level 150, request
You see, when some of these politicians play God, when they feel like they are God, semi-God, or gods, you tend to look at them with a lot of disdain and anger. It's shocking that Wike himself can tell this kinds of story and tell how he nearly died owing to the plane malfunction that he recently told the story of. So, Wike, you know that you can die, right? And then look at how you were screaming, shouting, and say that God should not allow them to do this to you. All those words you were muffling, that was between you and death. Let's just assume, because again, what would you have done at that time? Would you have gone to tell the pilot to step aside? Would you have gone to tell the pilot, look, if you don't land this plane very well, I'm going to kill you? Would you have gone? Look at how powerless you are, Wike. Look at how mundane how ordinary you are. How many of these powers that you are seeking? I want to be the river's godfather, just like Asiwaju Tinubu was godfather of Lagos State. I want to own, I want to get, I want to do this, I want to do that. How many of these power you are seeking, this wealth you are seeking, this ego that you are wielding would follow you to the grave? If you're going to hell, will it follow you to hell? If you're going to heaven, will it follow you to heaven? So what's all these things? That if you had died, if you had crashed in that jet, what would the best Nigerian state can do for you is to give you a befitting burial. And you are gone for good. All of the monies, the wealth, every damn thing that you think you own, that you are using to chase people or to trample on people or to, instigate chaos, will be gone in a twinkle of an eye. That is how quick life can be lost. That is how quick you can totally lose everything. So what is this fuss about fighting? You have installed a governor. God has used you to install a governor of a state. Just as somebody else God used to install you as governor and spent 8 years. Same thing, because you couldn't have installed yourself. You couldn't have elevated yourself. I heard it the other day saying that who was the one who helped me? The people who practically helped you, took you to places, are the ones that you are running under the bus just because you are in power, just because, not that you are even the president, because you are managing a federal capital territory that every other person had managed before. It's not the same federal capital that El-Rufai managed. It's not the same federal capital that Bala Mohammed managed. So what is that special thing in the federal capital that after this 4 years, after 8 years, you are gone? So what is all this brigandage, this ego that will not come to an end one day that you are pushing? Make no mistake, I like this guy. I like Wike very well. Cool-headed. I like him, but there are certain things that he does that makes it feel like he's Alpha and Omega. If it's not him, then it's not him. No. For the issue he has with Fubara, it's a no-no. It's a no-no. Rivers State wouldn't have come to this point that it is, enthroning a military rule inside a democracy, if it is not for Wike his activities in that state. So he has to trace his steps. Wike, if you're listening to this, trace your steps. Trace your steps. Everything rises and falls with that ephemeral life. You'll be shocked that some of the biggest people, out there, go and ask people who have gone. There's nothing in this life. Just in case you don't know, thank God you have come close to death. I hope that changes your mind forever. I hope so. Because these days they say no matter what, Nigerian politicians never really. Maybe it's a way God is showing you that I am still the God, not you. Showing you that, look, you have to retrace your steps. And if you don't, after now, well, so be it.
President Bola Tinubu has conferred the Commander of the Order of the Niger, CON, on Humphrey Nwosu, the late former chairman of the defunct National Electoral Commission, NEC. On March 27, the Senate rejected a motion to immortalize Nwosu by naming the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC headquarters in Abuja after him. The motion, sponsored by Ayinaya Bayarbe, senator representing Abia North, was stalled, prompting the Southeast Caucus to walk out of the chamber. Tinubu announced the national honor on Thursday during his address at a joint session of the National Assembly to mark the 2025 Democracy Day. While acknowledging the role of the late Moshood Kabashima Olawale MKO Abiola as June 12th central figure, Tinubu said Nigerians must not forget the long list of those who equally deserve to be called heroes of the country's democracy. It says, quote, "The struggle was never the province of any one group or sections of the country. It was a pan-Nigerian." Nwosu, who was appointed by former military president Ibrahim Babangida, presided over the historic 1993 elections, believed to have been won by Abiola.
He cannot be rewarded. President Nwosu, when it mattered most, his courage failed him. And when you give national honors and recognition, you do so for people who have shown courage, who have paid the supreme price, or who were ready to pay that price.
I also confer posthumous honor on Sheikh Musa Yar'Adua, GCFR, and Professor Humphrey Nwosu, CON.
Now that Humphrey Nwosu is gone, you want President Tinubu to name structures after Nwosu. It will not happen.
Was it Professor Humphrey Nwosu that made Justice Saleh from Katangum Emirate from Bauchi to another election? Was it Justice Professor Humphrey Nwosu that made the military cabal to throw Nigeria into confusion? It is highly unfair
that Humphrey Nwosu was the chairman during a military regime. There was no way he would have announced a result with a gun placed on his head.
If not for anything, give it to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He has a mind of his own. The Senate rejected any award given to Humphrey Nwosu. They feel that Humphrey, is not deserving of any form of award. And I was stunned. So how did you guys know that this guy was winning? Is it not when somebody allows a process to a transparent process that is seamless, for crying out loud? What if he doesn't want to practically give into the issue relating to being transparent? He would have not introduced A4. Yes, from the get-go. But this guy introduced an innovative A4, which is adjudged up until this moment as one of the best ways of even doing an election, not even electronic. It has even proven that 1993 election is the most credible, much more credible than this one we have even introduced technology on. So what are we saying? You say you're not going to honor the person who allowed for transparency to flow. Does that make sense? So sometimes I want us to even be thinking through some of these things that we're doing. So you acknowledge the process and then the results, and then acknowledge that the person who truly emerged from the process, who is Abiola, acknowledge that he actually did win that election. But for the life of me, you say the person who provided that process is not worth commending. It's not worth the award. Does that make any sense to you? I keep saying that until we stop this bigotry, until we stop this issue, when it is somebody, if Humphrey Nwosu was from the north I'm sure that there were going to be several symposium to his name, several awards to his name, even before this particular one. They would have even given him GCON. But because our Igbo now, it took his senators to walk away for the presidency to even recognize that this guy needs to be awarded. But kudos to President. President would have said, because senators rejected it, he would just lay it low. But he went on and said, no, we are going to recognize this person. And now things are a little bit balanced. Now it feels like, okay, people are listening to a group of persons. People are listening to the Southeast. I know it was a big issue. And I also remembered that the governors were quiet. And this is one thing I actually wanted to say as it relates to our system. The governors of the Southeast, when something is huge that is happening, I appreciate the things that they're doing. The ones that we have are doing pretty well. Anambra's, Soludo, Enugu's, Mba, talk about Otis, Abia, and the likes. You could tell, okay, these guys are genuine with infrastructural development and the likes. But when it comes to coming together to speak with one voice on a matter, these guys just become livid. They just keep quiet. Why? Why? Because I know the senators made a huge issue of it. The caucus made a huge issue of it. And the governors were quiet about it, that it wasn't even a statement about it. And that's unfair. That's very unfair. I don't know what their modus operandi is. I don't know. Last time I saw something that looks like they are together was during the election of Ohanes Ndi, what happened in Enugu. But aside that, I don't know what else. I don't know what the direction is, their blueprint for the development of the Southeast is. We have a Southeast Development Commission that was just established, but beyond that, we need to see these governors come together to establish, even if it is real link something that they can do together to link the Southeast together. Make it the region of choice, just like what Enugu is doing with Peter Mbah, the Hem of Affairs. If that can be those kinds of people in the Hem of Affairs coming together to think through what can be done to develop the Southeast, I don't think we will have so much issues. But again, commendation to the president. I appreciate that. But then I also think that as a people in the Southeast, we should start speaking with one voice. Thank you. Tell me what you think. I'll always love to hear from you.